Hello, good afternoon. Hope everyone out there is doing well this afternoon. We do have Wes here. He is in the building, so don't worry about that aspect. However, he is having a bit of issue with Discord, so I think Boona is helping him out at the moment, but he will be joining us shortly. He is here. We're just trying to get the little T's crossed and I's dotted. Fucking T's dotted. Good day to you all. Hope you're all safe and well. And of course, a happy new year to you all. Tonight's show, we are going to be looking ahead to game week 18. What decisions are on your minds? Slightly further ahead, we might have a wee dabble at the double game week, which is game week 19. But over the next hour, we at the FPL Lounge will just try and take your minds off things, have a bit of a laugh, bring a smile to your face. We'll have the usual Q&A. We've had a lot of questions in, so I'm looking forward to Heisenberg, or Heinz as I called him the first time I've met him. Hope you've got more in the chat, because Matt's chat, he'll be keeping a good eye on it. So just sit back, relax, have a wee blether with each other in the chat, and let's get the lounge doors opened up. The lounge doors are always open for you to pop in and have a chat about FPL to ease your mind. Remember, all the links to all our social stuff is in the description of the YouTube. So if you want to pop into the Discord, chat to us live, you can do. If you want to interact with us over on Twitter, you can do that as well. I can't do the show myself though. I need to get the French and Saunders of the lounge in alongside me. Good afternoon, Matthew. Good afternoon, Boona.
What's that?
Christ. You alright, Matt?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm all good. How is everybody?
Good stuff. Yeah, I think they're doing fine. They're all asking 8-ball stupid questions and stuff like that. So yeah, they're loving life. What about you? Oh, Boona's on mute now, so I'm assuming...
Just on mute, helping.
I'm all good, mate. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with Discord. But I am very good, thank you. Thank you for asking.
Nice stuff, nice stuff. Matt, do you want to just say hello to a few people in the chat whilst Boona helps out Wes?
We have got Pingu in the chat as per usual. We've got Rohan, we've got Sam, Rajan. Hey, I'm starting to get good at these names now. We got Adam. Yeah, we got quite a few people. We've got a couple of new ones. I don't think I've seen Nishanthin before. I might be wrong, but
good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, people. Welcome, and you are our VIPs. So hopefully we can put a smile on your face with all this catastrophe that's happening at the minute.
Looks like this young man may be actually here. Yeah, he is. I can see him in the background. He's on video. It's on video and everything. And I think he is in alongside us. I think if he just unmutes himself, then he'll be fine. The stream will be able to hear him. I want to do his introduction, but I'm hoping that he's able to unmute himself prior to doing it. What do you think? Will I go for it?
Nah, you got to wait, because you spend like 2 weeks on each one.
I do. As soon as the last stream finishes and the next one's getting prepped, I'm right in there writing these introductions. So.
You spend weeks on end getting these.
He's looking sexy. It looks like he's gave himself a little beard groom there. You know, got it all smoothed off, etc. So he's looking fine. He's deafened himself.
Yeah. So, hi, Wes, if you can hear me right now, pal, if you're in Discord, click on your name, and then there's a button which says Server Deafen. Just untick that. Just click on it, and it will undo it, and we'll be able to hear you.
It's the suspense. Sam's loving my intros. Everyone's looking forward to the introduction. It'd be a shame if Wes then, oh, sod this, I'm out of here.
We'll be able to hear you.
He's there.
I can hear you now.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Nah, Wes, I can't see your gorgeous beard, mate. What's going on?
Did that come up on YouTube to everyone?
No, it doesn't. You're alright. But
Thank
we can hear
God.
you. Right, let's try this one again. Are we ready? Let's go. So, on tonight's show, we've got one of the most down-to-earth guys in our FPL world joining us this evening. He is now, according to FPL research, inside the top 300 managers in the world. He's now part of the FPL Double Up alongside John Nellis, who was the first ever guest that we had in the lounge. And his FPL history, well, let's have a little look, shall we? It's a bit of a stellar one, this guy. 6 seasons worth he's got. and his lowest, yes, his lowest overall rank is just inside the top 32k, with his highest ever finished being 836. So he's basically, in his life, playing FPL, never finished outside the top 0.5% in the world. With a history like that, we better call Saul, as this guy is definitely putting together a crystal meth of FPL tips and creating a drug to be successful in FPL. With over 38,000 followers on Twitter, now I believe a full-time FPLer, it is a privilege to welcome into the lounge this evening the one and only Heinz himself, FPL Heisenberg. Hello.
Hello, thank you for that introduction. That was incredible.
Do you like it?
I do, yeah. Thank you very much.
No, not a problem at all. There's a pile of people that are coming in on the chat, mate, for you, Wes, with questions. We've got a few
Brilliant.
questions that we normally give all our guests, the usual 4 or 5, and then we'll dive straight into the questions that have come in via the Twitter sphere, and Matt will keep an eye on the chat so that we can try and get through as many questions as we can. You alright with that?
Yeah, all good, mate.
Nice one. Let's get going then, shall we? So, nice and simple to start with. Who is FPL Heisenberg? What are you getting up to when you're not Twittering or YouTubing, etc., streaming?
Yes, so my real name is Wes. Some of you may already know that. And like you mentioned in the intro, I went full-time into the FPL world in, I think it was August this year. I was kind of in between jobs, had a few things going on in FPL, and just thought take the plunge and try and make it work from that point of view. And in terms of outside of that, I've got 2 kids, two young girls who keep me busy. Got a dog who, if you haven't seen my fleets, I did a few fleets for like the first time yesterday on Twitter. You know, that thing that everyone hates, those story type things. So I've got my dog in one of those, and it's basically just big promo in my own pod.
Quite
Double
right.
up with John Nellis.
It's decent, isn't it? He's some lad, John, isn't he?
Yeah, he's good. He's a good lad. Hopefully, he's ill today. I was speaking to him earlier on WhatsApp. He's come down with an illness, so hopefully he's all right.
Yeah. You haven't been near him, have you? Because we don't want to infect the listeners.
No, thankfully he's in Ireland and I'm in England where there's no COVID whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, how long have you been involved in Twitter yourself?
Twitter. So I think the account says it started in 2015, but I think it was like an old account under my real name, and then I kind of rebranded it and did it up as a FPL account and the Heisenberg angle in it was the summer of 2017. I remember that because my first daughter had just been born, like in the March before. So, and I was on holiday in Greece, and that's when I decided to do it. So yeah, summer 2017.
Perfect, good stuff. Matt Boona, you want to dive in and ask Wes any questions?
Sounds a bit stupid, but why did you pick Heisenberg? Are you just like a Breaking Bad, like Madhouse, or?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I get it quite a lot actually. So yeah, it was around the time when there was various Twitter accounts out there, obviously FPL General and loads of others, and I was just trying to think of I think it was even maybe just called Wes FPL at first or something like that, and it was just boring. So I was just trying to think of an angle. And yeah, I think at that time I just finished watching Breaking Bad, and I am a huge fan. I watched it. I've watched the series multiple times now, and so I just went down that angle, and then it ended up working quite well because I think obviously at that time as well, lots of people liked it, and then I found out that I could use. I've just downloaded like probably about 50 or 60 Heisenberg gifs just to use, as and when. just for no reason half the time. Just pop up with a little gif. But yeah, that's the reason really. Yes, I am a fan of Breaking Bad, and I don't know why in terms of an FPL account and Heisenberg, there's absolutely no relation, but
it works though.
Just about to say that definitely works though.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Boona, what about yourself?
Alright, so I'm going to get straight to it, Wes. This season, a lot of people are kind of struggling with FPL because it's, all the stop-start and the circumstances which unfortunately surround us. You, on the other hand, are having an absolute brilliant season. I believe you're around 35, 36k. What do you put
Yeah,
your success this season in particular, which I personally can I just say is really impressive. I don't really want to blow your horn any more than it already is blowing. But what do you put
keep
it down
blowing
to?
me.
Because
Keep blowing me.
it's a bit of an odd season.
So yeah, I was struggling at the start as well. I think the first
Okay.
I haven't got my history in front of me, but I'm pretty sure the sort of first 5 or 6 weeks I was hovering at around 1.2 to 1.5 mil, just sort of treading water there. And I was kind of getting, like it was a lot of crazy scores at the start of the season. So like you had Spurs away at Southampton winning 5-1 with Kane and Son both getting like 22, 23 points or something like that. And I missed out on those hauls. Whereas in normal seasons, when you miss out on, like obviously Kane and Son scoring in that fixture, of course, it's not like a surprise, but to score that amount of points against a decent team like Southampton is a surprise. So in normal seasons, you'd maybe be punished with a goal or two for one of them and the odd assist here or there. But yeah, that was just that was killing me. And I didn't get on Calvert-Lewin until maybe week 4 or 5, when I think he'd already scored a hat trick. A few people had jumped on. I was kind of a bit dubious with him, and then just went on a good run from about week 6 onwards. Had about 10 green arrows, and I just kept doing what I always do. Just kept improving my squad. I think the reason I started so poorly was because I picked a really shit game week 1 team. So I had players in there who go against a lot of my rules. Like I brought in Werner from game week 1, and normally I wouldn't bring in any new player to the Premier League just because you don't know how they'll settle in.
Yeah.
I got sort of coked, or almost I started believing all the hype really, and I should have actually stuck to my own principles and not brought him in. I had players like Saka for Arsenal, and I was hoping he wasn't a rotation risk, when in actual fact that was just wishful thinking. I knew he was a rotation risk. I was just trying to put that on my mind, and it also had players like Iose Perez at the start, so I had a really bad start. But then just after those first sort of 4, 5, 6 weeks, I managed to get in. I managed to use my free transfers and a wild card, think early doors, to then bring in a better team and just kick on from there. And I guess a portion of luck as well, in terms of I moved out Kane and Son before the Arsenal game. Actually, Arsenal had done well for me as part of a big -8 move. I removed Kane, Son, Grealish when Grealish had a blank, and Robertson. But I brought in De Bruyne for his 2 big hauls. Salah, who had Wolves and got like a 14-pointer, followed up by 3 or 4 really big hauls and captaincies in there. So, and then obviously Kane and Son missing out against not this game week, the week before, obviously helped me out. That was another big green. So a bit of luck, a bit of just overall having a much better team over these last 10, 11 weeks.
Yeah, just looking at it there, as you say, rightfully so, 10 weeks in a trot with a green arrow, especially and as you say, you've moved from I think it was 1.4 million back in game week 6 to then getting in game week 16 down to just inside 23,000. I mean, that's so just for the benefit of our listeners that are here now, and those that might be listening back, what type of FPL manager best describes you? Do you take risks, or are you typically, you have your players and then kind of slow play the game? What tips or that have you got for the guys and girls that are listening? Yeah,
so I tend to listen to I do my own research and make my own decisions that way. I try not to look at things like ownership, and that works both ways. So I don't look at players who are purposely differentials. Likewise, when I got on Calvert-Lewin quite late, and he wasn't a differential at that point, but I thought he was obviously a good pick and would get me points. So I did that. Whereas other players I have brought in who maybe would be more differentials, but again, I haven't done it I don't look for differentials, and I don't equally ignore highly owned players. I just kind of very simply try and get the best overall squad. It's really hard to describe, but don't pay any attention to ownership. And in terms of I don't make any sort of really strict or very rigid plans, where I hear people saying that in, like I said, game week 16 I'll bring in Salah for 2 good fixtures, then in week 18 he'll flip to De Bruyne for 1 fixture, then he's going to go back to Salah. Things like that I really don't do. But I kind of adapt to what's going on. So when I saw De Bruyne having a little bit of a dip, so I had him for those 2 big game weeks about 5 or 6 game weeks ago. Then I saw him having a little dip, so I moved him out for Rashford, because Rashford, I was starting to build towards a double. Rashford was looking good off a brace against Sheffield United, so I bought Rashford in for a couple of goals and used the De Bruyne money to bring back in Robertson before Palace and stuff like that. So I haven't really answered your question, but
Very
I'm
political.
I don't take too many hits. I think if you look at my history, I've taken maybe 3 or 4 -4s. Is that right? But
2
equally,
-4s and a -8, but like that's nothing when you look at Boona and I's.
Yeah, So equally, if I felt like my team was in shit shape, and I did feel like the minus was going to benefit.
Yeah.
Because like even in the week where that -8 I took, I removed Kane and Son before Arsenal. They both got like 12, 13 points. But because Grealish didn't have a game, I actually brought in Salah, De Bruyne, Bamford for Kane, who's probably over the last few weeks probably matched Kane point for point, and it's like half the price. So I'm not afraid to take minuses if I think they're necessary.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Sorry, Wes, is that a lot of people do get the fear about taking hits, and I can never understand it. Obviously everyone play like as G Wiz would say. Hashtag play your own game. That's what it's all about. But for me, if you think you've got a good run of fixtures, if you're trying to plan to a certain extent, say 4-6 game weeks ahead of yourself, and you think a -8 might benefit your team, then why wouldn't you take it? Why would you just sit on your hands and, you know what I mean, just wish for the best?
Exactly, 100%. I'm always willing to do that if needs be. So, for example, this week I haven't got any City assets, for example. So this week, but I am probably free hitting this week.
Okay.
So assume I do free hit this week. I might wildcard, but I've got no team for this week basically because I was building towards that double.
Right.
But next, so when what will it be? Week 19. My team will bounce back in with no City players. I'm likely then to do at least a -4 to get in Cancelo and De Bruyne, and maybe even a -8 because City's run's just unbelievable, and now they're back on form. And again, it's something you can't plan that too much in advance, because if City would have been beaten by Chelsea and just lost in the cup game or whatever, and they were looking a shadow. Most of the season, they've looked to shadow their former self.
Yeah,
it's only in the last 2 games they've come back into it, and then you can think, right, okay, they are worth making big moves for.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, thank you for that. Matt, Boona, you want to dive in with any more questions?
Well, just a quick one. Your best mate, John Nellis, is in the chat.
He's in the chat,
he is indeed. He is. He's there. He's infecting everyone from afar. We've also got Rohan S in the chat saying Llama's intros are like the Queen's Christmas speeches. I don't know if he means you're putting people to sleep or if that's a good thing, but hey, we'll take it, Rohan. Thank you very much. FPL Penguin saying Llama could be a rap artist spitting them bars, yo. There are a number of questions in the chat as well. They're more kind of team specific as opposed to Wes specific, so we can go over them a bit later unless you want to go through anything now, Matt.
The only one that I'd say to highlight now is probably Penguins, which is, do you think El Ghazi is a good differential to own?
Yeah, I really like El Ghazi. He's absolutely smashed it in terms of like the shot stats. He takes penalties. Does he take some direct free kicks as well? But very exciting player. Very good player. I think me and Big John spoke about him on the FPL Double Up podcast. He didn't. I think from memory, he didn't start or get any minutes in the first 7 games for Villa. Then came back into the fray with like 3 or 4 sub appearances, and is now starting again. I just don't know how Ross Barkley coming back might affect El Ghazi. But yeah, on pens, 5.8 million. We don't know what's going on with Villa and COVID, but assuming they still have the double in 19 and then an okay fixture run, then yeah, I really like him as an option. And I'd possibly favour him over Grealish, who's obviously the better football player, but Grealish is almost on the... I don't know, he's kind of not ruthless enough to sort of... He's getting points, obviously, don't get me wrong, but he's not smashing it in terms of... You don't expect him to score every game, you expect him to maybe pop up with an assist, or... Yeah. I don't know, he is still a good asset, but El Ghazi's cheaper and more of a goal threat.
He's kind of went off the boil a little bit, isn't he, Grealish? I think it's because he knows he's going to United. I think that's what the problem is.
Yeah, right.
Matt, are you wanting to ask Wes about FPL Towers? Then I'll ask him about smashing or passing, and then we can just dive straight into what the audience are wanting to find out about Wes.
Aye. Wes, we ask every guest this question, and it's a nice, interesting question to see where our guests are in the whole FPL space. If you were to change anything, if you're in charge of FPL Towers, what would it be in the game? Whether it's a chip, add a chip, take away a chip, or just a general gaming as a whole?
That's a good question. So I'd probably tweak the bonus point system. I'd keep a bonus point system, but I'd definitely tweak it. I don't like it the fact it punishes strikers who have like shots off target or missing chances, because essentially they could still be playing well, and often it doesn't quite translate. You're watching a game and someone's running the show or playing really well, and then on the bonus system they're doing absolute shite. So I'd possibly tweak the bonus point system. And chips wise, I like all the chips. I think free hit's good. The all out attack chip from back in the day was pretty shit, but yeah, no, the chips I like. So yeah, probably just tweak the bonus system. I think my opinion on FPL is a lot of people have a lot of ideas to change it, and they sound good on paper and they might work, but my thinking is, it's very popular, and if something's not broken, why try and fix it?
Yeah.
It works well. It's quite simple. People going about, let's reward defensive midfielders. Like, no, fuck that. Let's keep it. It's a simple game for a reason. Like, sometimes a shit player might get 2 tap-ins and get a lucky big haul or whatever, but that is fantasy football. You can't really start rewarding too many points for a defensive midfielder getting a load of sideways passes.
I think that's it, and I think if I cast my memory back, it was FPL Salah said pretty much the same. Late Riser definitely said the same, as did Bakar. Basically saying the game is, it's quite simple and straightforward. Everyone, well, once you get into it, you kind of know what's what. Why change it?
Yeah.
Just keep it as, like, I've not dabbled in anything else, but some of the guests have spoke to us about, like, the other kind of fantasy footballs that are out. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, saying that it can be quite overly complicated at times. So with this, at least it's quite simple, eh?
Yeah, exactly. You know where you stand. You can kind of watch a game and you can calculate, okay, a striker scored 2 goals, that's 4 points per goal, 2 points for playing, 10 points, probably 3 bonus. That's 13 points for my captain, Harry Kane or whatever. So it's quite simple from that respect. And yeah, we all love it. It's really popular. There's 7 odd million people who play it. It's growing year on year. Yeah, why change it too much? Like I said, a tweak to the bonus point system. I think people would probably welcome it. It wouldn't change the way you play it an awful lot. So yeah, and the chips are still relatively new. It feels like I remember obviously a few years ago having no chips. Yeah. I wouldn't mind if they done away with the chips altogether. I think free hit's quite good in terms of when there's blank game weeks and you can't get a team out, then that game week's no fun at all. So I do like a free hit chip and the wild cards obviously. But yeah, I could probably live without triple captain, live without bench boost maybe. But equally, yeah, I'm happy there.
No, cool, nice one. Well, I will ask our final question, and then we'll go straight into the audience stuff. So Buna, I know, has got a rake of questions that have come in via Twitter, and Matt is keeping an eye on the chat, and I know, having seen it at the side of my eyes here, that it's certainly been flowing with questions. But this is one that we ask all our guests. You just need to put your mind in the circumstance and then just be honest with us. That's all you need to be. It's nice and easy. So it's the final seconds of a Champions League final. You're through on goal. Okay. You're 1-on-1 with the keeper. You're just about to lace the ball when out the corner of your eye, you see your strike partner standing just a few yards away for you. Now, you know that if you pass it to him, he's surely not going to miss because he's got an open goal. It's you that's 1-on-1 with the keeper. However, it's you that's got the ball at your feet. So what are you doing? Are you smashing or are you passing?
I'm passing, and I'll tell you why.
You've bucked the trend. You've bucked the trend completely. You have messed with my head. So just before you explain yourself, Wes, basically anyone that plays the game safe till now has shot, and anyone that's a risk taker seems to pass. But you've messed it up now. Now you screwed my head, mate.
Sorry about that. But
I'm wrong again.
I need to explain why. So I when I play football, I do play up front, and I've played on a team, just locally, and my strike partner was, the top scorer in the league, very good player, the best player in the league, essentially. But he was so greedy, and because he was so good, he'd get into positions where he could just literally lay it along the 6-yard line for like a Man City type goal that Sterling used to get all the time. Yeah. Little tap-ins from Sane across the box or whoever, but he'd always shoot. And sometimes, so we'd have massive arguments on the pitch. Like I'd be screaming at him to pass because I'd pass in those positions to him and he'd get the goals.
Yes.
But no, I definitely pass, and I am very different in terms of when I watch football. I see a lot of chances, and the commentators don't seem to see it. Where they say things like, "Oh, I can't," you can't blame the striker for shooting in that scenario. And I just think no, I think that there's a player there to pass it for a simple tap in, and I think professional players should do it more. So not that I'm good enough to tell professional footballers how to play, but that's just my opinion.
No, thank you, and that's the thing. That's what's the beauty of the game, is it's all our own opinions. So no, thank you very much for that. Boona, over to you, young man. Twitter, I know, was lit up again like it usually is every week. So I'll let you just start damming in with the... I don't even know what I was trying to say there. Going in with the questions.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, I mean,
jump in with something for Boona.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
I wanted to jump in for Boona and just say that when someone asked if he was a good, so they said something like, "Oh, is this guy any good, or is he a cockwomble?" And there was a little poll going.
Oh wow! I don't know if I see this.
Boona changed his name on Twitter to Cockwomble, which I just thought, laughing at yourself, and I thought it was very unnecessary actually to call you Cockwomble. I think you're a great guy, but that just made me laugh when you changed it from Boona to Cockwomble.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
No, I don't take myself too seriously, mate. You know me, but yeah, no, I appreciate that.
You're some boy, Boona.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be able to take the shit when I give a shit ton myself out. Do you know what I'm saying?
Give a hell of a lot.
Yeah, I infuriate the fuck out of people, and I fucking love it, to be honest. So,
I love that you do as well.
Got a question from FPL Penguin. He actually DM'd me privately. I don't know if he sent it to you as well, Lama, but he was asking, do you think El Ghazi will keep his place when Trezeguet returns, and do you think it'll be a nice differential turn? We kind of went over that. In one word, do you think he will stay in the side now, given his performances?
That's what I'm thinking. That even with players like Barkley and Trezeguet, I know Barkley obviously doesn't play in the exact same position, but he's right to bring up Trezeguet. It is always a risk where I just don't know enough about it. I do like to go for nailed on players as much as possible, and that's where someone like Grealish is really good, because he plays 90 minutes every single week, and you see it in like that Southampton game. If he was an 85-minute man, he wouldn't have ended up with a goal and an assist in injury time. But back to the question in terms of El Ghazi, I don't know, to be honest. But my gut thinking is that because he's playing so well and looking like such a goal threat, he'll keep his place until he, if he in 2 or 3 games time, if he's dipped on his form, then he could obviously lose his place for when Trezeguet's back, Barkley's back, etc. But yeah, I think he's one to watch with this COVID news. If he's one of the ones affected, obviously we've seen players be affected by that for the longer term as well. But no, assuming like COVID aside, because we don't know enough info about that. But no, I do like El Ghazi, and I don't think he'll be dropped because he is playing well and he's scoring goals.
Yeah, it is worth saying for anyone that hasn't seen the news from today that Villa have shut their training ground, so that has firstly cancelled their. I think were they due to play Liverpool this weekend?
Liverpool tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow, and that also puts some doubts now around whether Spurs Liverpool will go ahead in game week 18.
Yeah.
So people like me are in a little bit of trouble when it comes to not having your free hit, but so much can change at this moment, guys. Like, there are rumblings, the likes of Ben Crellin and Planet FPL. I'm not saying that they know exactly what's happening, but they've suggested, if that were to happen, there's potential that Spurs versus Fulham could be brought back into 18. We really don't know what's happening right now, and it just goes back to what I said, I believe, last week about just being patient this season. A lot of people have activated their free hits. I know we've had the Prime Minister say, look, Elite Sport is going to continue, but if we see more and more of these, we really don't know if that is going to be the case. So just wait till Monday before you make any decisions, is what I would say, probably.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, I would agree with that. I would agree with
100%.
Whose fault is it? God, let's all vote. Whose fault is it?
Really?
I reckon it's been Grealish around Mendy's house with those Latinas again.
Yeah.
Kyle Walker's got to be involved somewhere as well.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, you know it.
Has to be.
Boona, your friend from Escapades hit us with a couple of questions for Wes.
Yeah, so he asked Akshay from FPL Escapades. Thank you for the question, Akshay. He firstly asked thoughts on a double City defence ahead of their juicy run of fixtures stretching to game week 22.
Yeah, so I don't mind that Cancelo and Diaz maybe, but it does obviously block then a double up in midfield if you did want that with the likes of De Bruyne and Sterling if you can afford it, or maybe one of those two coupled with Gundogan if he can keep playing in his advanced position. He got another goal in the cup that was disallowed, but he was in that advanced position. Yeah, City's defence has been really good, a lot of clean sheets. So yeah, if you can get Diaz and Cancelo, then yeah, I like it.
What's your preference, midfield, double up, or defence? Because you said I don't mind it, so my head's thinking you prefer the midfield.
Well, I don't know. It's like I keep thinking that eventually City will return to just demolishing teams every week, like 6-0 or whatever. And Cancelo's attacking threat, but if you've got someone like Diaz or Stones, I know Stones just scored in the cup, but assuming attacking returns is rare for them, they're kind of capped at a 6-pointer because if they go ahead and win 3 or 4-0, then the defenders aren't getting the bonus points, are they? Or any attacking returns. Cancelo I like for attacking returns and defensive, so definitely.
He's very attacking though, isn't he? He's essentially an attacker almost.
Yeah, very, very attacking. So yeah, he's probably my first pick out of any City player, full stop. But yeah, I suppose if we're judging on this season, maybe they're not going to demolish people. Maybe they are going to win 1 or 2-0 over this sort of next period. I just don't know. But seeing that Chelsea performance, knowing what City are like, and knowing how Pep likes to play, is that if goals start to come in, then you're blocked on that City double up from, let's just say Aguero comes back fit and firing, you might want to go there in, not now, but in like 2, 3, 4 game weeks time. And obviously Sterling can, if the Sterling of old comes back and the De Bruyne of old, then you're going to want 2 of those, I think. So I prefer a midfield double up, but equally there are a load of other options, aren't there, out there? Son, Kane, Vardy, Liverpool guys, etc. So it can definitely work.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. He's
brilliant. And
he had a second one, didn't he? Oh, no, sorry.
He did, yeah. He was being a bit selfish. He thought he'd, put in a whole story. So he then asked, is Calvert-Lewin a hold despite his recent struggles with the return? So is he saying, is he a hold despite his recent struggles with the return of James Rodriguez? If not, can you suggest possible replacements?
Yeah, so obviously it depends on your team.
Sorry.
So yeah, I was just going to say it depends on obviously your own team. And this week's obviously it's going to be a bit hard to get rid of him this week, being a blank week, assuming you're not using a chip. But more generally, longer term, yeah, I'd like, because of how much he's regressive. I know he's obviously returned recently, but we don't know how much that he's going to help him a minute. So yeah, I prefer other options out there. I prefer in the short term for the blank game week someone like Lacazette. Not sure on Lacazette long term, just because he always seems to get a bit rotated or goes off form like quite easily. But yeah, Bamford, Rodrigo from Leeds, the Leeds double up front could be good. They've got a decent double if that goes ahead. So yeah, in terms of the question about should bin DCL in general, yes, but obviously this week being a blank is tough.
Yeah,
and he's playing in blank. I mean, yeah.
And I think as well, the way Wolves played against Brighton, and I'm not saying that kind of form's going to continue. I'd certainly want DCL in and about it, because you think if they are scoring, it's going to come via him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and are they away at Wolves in the blank or?
I think they are actually. Yeah.
No, Wolves at home. It's Wolves versus Everton.
Yeah, so
Wolves,
I know.
Everton,
Yeah, DCL's away from home. Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of brings us into Rohan's question in the chat. What is Heinz game week 18 strat? Like ignore Spurs and Villa on the free hit and go all in on City, United and Arsenal?
So what's that? Can you say that question again? It cut out a bit.
What is your game week 18 strategy?
Yes, so yeah, mine is with my team because I was building it towards the double, and then they dropped in teams like City into there and extra teams into the blank as well. That kind of screwed me over. But yeah, I was all set to free hit, and I probably still will do. I guess there's an outside chance for a wild card, but assuming I do free hit and assuming the Villa and Spurs game is off, yeah, I'd still be happy to do that with the 5. 5 of the fixtures.
Oh,
if we did a shooting,
what teams would you be focusing on?
Yeah, so obviously
Where's-
Man City. I'd triple up on Man City 100% at home to Brighton. Brighton are pretty poor defensively, and Man City are obviously back in form, like we've said. Spurs. I haven't owned Kane and Son in a while. I'd like to own at least one of those on a free hit. I know they've got not an ideal fixture away at Villa, but equally Villa have had games where they've conceded a fair amount of goals, so I don't see them being able to stop Kane and Son. Who else? We've got Man United. I probably wouldn't triple up on them, but I'd be boring and keep Bruno just because of how consistent he is. And then if I get indications that if Shaw gets a rest in the cup, the next cup game, I might go with Luke Shaw. He's a fairly cheap option. He's on corners and free kicks.
You got cameras.
Just whether he's
you got cameras in my wee studio here, because I swear down, you've seen my kind of potential free hit team.
Oh really?
He's just tapped into the cameras I've got in your room. That's all right.
I mean, in fairness, there are literally like a very small handful of players that you can choose.
Yeah, no. And then in terms of the Arsenal fixture, looks pretty good at home to Palace, and they're again on form. So again, Tierney kind of picked himself. Tierney was amazing against West Brom. Arsenal are now playing a different formation with 4 at the back instead of 3 centre backs, where Tierney was obviously restricted attacking wise, but that game he had a couple more assists. I know it's West Brom and they were a bag of shit, but equally I do think Tierney was very good there. And obviously Arsenal have got a lot of good cheap options in midfield. They've got Smith Rowe, so on my free hit I'm likely to have Smith Rowe on my bench because one is actually a good option to start because he's got 3 assists in the last 3 games, but he's 4.4 million, so it lets you to have. I think we still will need, or it's still sensible to have a strong bench in these times because obviously past the deadline we could still get some COVID issues. So I think I still will have a deep bench but cheap. So I'll have players like Mitchell on my bench, 3.9 million, but at least he plays. Assuming he keeps his place with Van Aanholt. Smith Rowe again, pretty much as you can get from midfielder. He's playing at the minute, and then maybe a cheap sort of Newcastle backup or something. Again, Darlow probably the standout keeper. Looking at the fixtures, Sheffield United are
seen my
horrendous.
team,
I'd be surprised if Darlow isn't in everyone's team on this free hit. To be fair,
the cool kids will be going for Ramsdale. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you know what? It could be.
Mate, they're due a clean sheet, and they've been unlucky not to keep some lately. And Newcastle are shit. They don't inspire me.
I know, and the thing about Sheffield United is I don't think they're bottom of the league, and obviously they haven't been good, and they're missing a lot of their key players like Jack O'Connell, and obviously they've got a different keeper this year, etc., etc. But they've lost a lot of games by 1 goal. They're lacking confidence now, of course, but it's not like when I don't know if you remember, sort of, I think it was 2007, 2008 when Derby were. They broke some sort of records for having like 12 points by the end of the season or something. They were like utter shite, but this team isn't quite that. It's not as if they've been getting pummeled week in, week out.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But I still probably will go with Darlow.
that's right.
No, that's where I'm going, to be honest with you. What was I going to say, Matt, before we jump into your Matt's chat, because I know there's a rake of questions came through there, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw everyone's attention to this. So if you're not already aware, this year. So starting game week 18, so you got like just under a week to join it. It's totally free, but we're working alongside Fantasy Football Scout and FPL merch. Basically, all we're asking you to do is join the Discord. So Wes, if you fancy it, you're more than welcome to join. Everyone's points start at 0. You will have a little bit of an advantage if you've got your chips, etc., but there's nothing we can do about that, unfortunately. However, with some people, Wes, what we've found is that they get a bit dejected with FPL, for one reason or another. And what we thought we would do here at that FPL Lounge is give them a second half of the season competition for a second bite of the cherry. So what you'll win is a year's subscription to Fantasy Football Scout. You'll get yourself an FPL merch mug made up. You'll get a little trophy scribed. and you'll also get £100 worth of Amazon vouchers. And it's all free. All you need to do is join the Discord, and from in there, in the thread for the LIT tournament, will be the link to, obviously, the league. So, just wanted to mention that. Wes, before we crack back in. So, we've probably got you, Wes.
Yeah, nice plug.
Thank you. We've probably got you, for about the next, 20 minutes, although we would love to keep you here all night, obviously. So I think we should just crack on, shouldn't we, Matt? And start diving into the chat as well as the remaining kind of Twitter ones, Boona.
Aye, we've got another nice little thing for you, Heisenberg, with the FPL Escapades. Good evening, Heisenberg. Always been a huge fan of yours back when you posted your lineups. So you got a massive fan, and the Escapades are an up-and-coming FPL channel, so go check them out as well. You got
nice.
One Rover's Vlogs in the chat. I've got a question. What is the best piece of advice you could give for FPL? Ooh, I love that one. I love it when people ask that one.
Yeah. So I don't know how to say it. It's just all about making a lot of good decisions. So you'll make a lot of bad ones. Like obviously, if you listen at the start, I said about how, I was very open and honest about how many mistakes I made at the start, and I did make mistakes in my Gameweek 1 team. And you will make mistakes throughout the course of the season. So I've got Soychek and Lookman, and in the week where Lookman missed a penalty away at West Ham, I actually had Soychek on my bench and I started Lookman. And other examples of picking the wrong captain, then you realise it's a mistake, etc. But loads of those little mistakes will happen. But it's about not going on tilt, not losing your head about it, and keeping the faith. So again, when I was in those first 5-6 weeks, I was ranked at 1.5 million doing shit, but I didn't change the way I played. I didn't go chasing differentials. I didn't go doing big minus point hits for the sake of it. I just gradually changed my team until a decent team, and then just kind of had faith in the fact that it would come good. Don't know if that's good advice, but that's about as good as I can do.
No, I think it is really good advice, because I think what we've certainly found doing these shows and the other streams that we do, that a lot of people do flip-flop quite a bit. And you see it as well on Twitter. Twitter's rife with it. Oh, I had fucking so-and-so in my team last week, and I took him out for this guy who's done naff all, and then they flip-flopped the other way again. You're like, just stick to your guns. It's...
Yeah, and there's a lot of... I think there's an issue with sort of overloading of information, especially these days. Like Twitter's obviously exploded over the last few years. There's various websites, there's this and that, but you've got to be able to decipher that information without it, clouding your judgment, because there can be you can if you've got an agenda for a certain player, you can choose stats that make them look like they might be good picks. But what I do is I watch a lot of games and use my own knowledge of watching games to then apply that, and I do look at some stats as well in the background just to see if they're doing well there. But yeah, some stats you can be very easily misled by stats, articles and stuff like that.
I've said that before as well, mate, on the podcast as well, that like a couple of seasons ago I delved right proper deep in stats and I just lost my head. I was 323 in the world at the time. I then started going knee deep into stats. Fair enough, I still finished quite high that season, like 30-odd thousand or something.
Yeah.
But I've seen I just stuck at what I was doing, which was generally just watching games of football and making my decisions from there. I probably would have done even better. But I had this whole,
something in that.
Oh, Twitter's telling me that I should have this person, and by the looks of it, Twitter are all captaining this guy. I should. That's the route I should go down. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Make your
you got to be. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, you got to be on that point. You got to be strong-minded. Like when who did I captain? It didn't work out that well, but I had Bruno captain a couple of weeks ago at home to Wolves, who got an assist when the whole of Twitter seemed to be on Salah away at Newcastle, and Bruno ended up outscoring him by 3 points. Fine, but the point of what I'm saying is that you've got to be strong enough to make those decisions and not follow. If you think it is the right decision, whether you end up being right or wrong, like I'd stand by that decision even if Salah outscored Bruno, because it was my decision.
Yes.
So I'd rather make my own decisions and be wrong. But I'm on Twitter and giving out advice and taking other people's advice and reading stuff. Of course I am. I'm not saying don't do any of that and like completely shut yourself off, but yeah, you've got to be strong enough to make those own decisions, strong enough to see through certain trends, and avoiding those certain players that avoids. Like when I saw, Giroud scored 4 in the Champions League, and then was back in the Premier League starting lineup, and I think he maybe even scored in the very next game. But for me, Giroud was always an avoid, because when you assess the situation, Tammy Abraham is going to get game time. Giroud's age and history of being rotated is obviously going to catch up with him, and even Werner can play through the middle with the wing. He'd move off the left, someone else would play there, and Werner could play through the middle. And in those last few game weeks, both, I think in the last game, Abraham and Giroud were both benched for Werner up top, so there was just too much competition there. So unless something like an injury to Abraham and Werner occurred, that's the only way I'd go near Giroud.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've even touched Chelsea this year. I think I might have had, Chilwell in until he got injured. But that's about it. I just didn't
that
know.
Mystery injury.
Yeah. But no, what else is happening in the old Twitter sphere?
There was one interesting comment made. It wasn't a question as such, Wes. I just wanted you to dispel this and really just give some context behind it. But it was from United_FPL, going by the name of Stevie on Twitter. And he said, he gets all his help from Jesse. He would be useless on his own. My FPL record is like Skylar picks me team each week. Lol.
Yeah, I think I saw that comment earlier. I can't find it now, but yeah, I saw that one earlier. So yeah, I'm getting help from Jesse, am I? Yeah, that would be handy if someone would help me, but no, I'm very much a lone wolf, and being on as part of my job, I do help people via my Patreon channel, and sometimes people start questioning, like when over the last few weeks I've said, people have asked me why I'm starting Soul Check over Lookman or whatever, but I kind of arrogantly or I have to block a lot of that stuff out, if that makes sense. I have to block out anyone questioning like why a certain player. I've got to kind of think that I've got to back my own FPL ability over the people questioning me about why X, Y, and Z, and just go for it. And then and the thing about playing like that is it means you're happy kind of either way. There's nothing worse than when you end up following the crowd against your own judgment and it ends up being wrong. And I was guilty of that with Werner at the start of the season. I didn't particularly want him. I kind of got subconsciously swayed by all the noise on Twitter, and it had some logic, because he could have obviously absolutely smashed it based on what he did in the Bundesliga. But it makes me regret it even more. If I pick a player and he does shit, it's not as annoying. But when you end up being subconsciously swayed, and then you're thinking I didn't think he was a good player, I didn't think he was a good FPL choice, and you end up, you end up, because you've made that following decision and got it wrong, it sort of hurts even more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally, because I think that's the thing, and we've said that before on the cast, that like some people, and me certainly, I'm happy to hold my hands up to it. Exactly what you've said there. I had Werner in game week 1 as an example. Didn't want him anywhere near my team. My mind was telling me, give him a few weeks and see how he adapts, and then kind of go. It sounds like you're chasing points potentially, but it makes sense to kind of go that way. But then you start thinking, well, everywhere I'm looking on Twitter, everyone's going to have Werner in their team. But really, what you've got to kind of remember is that Twitter probably makes up a real small percentage of the 7 odd million that are playing the game.
Yeah, very small. So, it does surprise you when you end up looking at your mini leagues and it's actually a lot different to Twitter, because Twitter can definitely distort things.
Definitely. Matt, back to the chat.
Yeah, we got another one from Nissanth. Heisenberg, who is a better pick in game week 18 for a free hit team, Wilson or Watkins? And is Lacazette a good differential pick?
Lacazette, yeah, I really like him, and especially on a free hit, then you're not committed. It's Palace at home, and he's in form. In terms of what's the first part of the question again?
Wilson or Watkins?
Wilson or Watkins. So probably Wilson. He's been a bit more consistent with goals and assists this year. I know Newcastle aren't as good attacking wise, but Newcastle have got a better fixture away at Sheffield United. Wilson was looking. I think he just returned from an injury, maybe, and he looked pretty good against Liverpool. He didn't. He blanked, but he was looking really lively in that first half. He was giving Liverpool some issues there. So yeah, and like I said, better fixture rather than Spurs, who Jose Mourinho, fairly solid defensively. Villa I'm backing them to score as well. But I think with kind of Watkins, I do like him as an option, but I think maybe he's lacking confidence in front of goal. He's always involved and busy, so you can end up getting assists like he did. Was it the last game where he got like 3 assists, or maybe the game before?
Game before, wasn't it? Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, but I'll stop blabbing on now and get off the fence. It is Wilson, my answer.
No, that is fine. That is fine. Quite timely, actually. FPL Teddy Bears, I've just noticed, has just joined the chat, and I'm sure Boona, FPL Teddy Bear, does have a question.
Yeah, Phil Teddy Bear asked, with Aller leaving West Ham, is Antonio for you now nailed for double game week fixtures?
No, not at all. So Antonio is far too injury prone for my liking. In terms of his minutes, I haven't got them in front of me, but he hasn't played many minutes so far, has he? He came off the bench away at Everton, I think. But no, I just don't trust Antonio. Now Haller's gone, it is better. Better for him, because Haller was... I'm surprised they sold him. He wasn't in...
That was a weird one, wasn't he? He scored a worldie, and then they sell him.
Yeah, he scored that over volley, and was just generally looking... Probably, he wasn't looking great necessarily, but he was looking the best he's looked in a West Ham shirt since he first signed, really. So I thought that might take some game time off Antonio, but my feeling there is that maybe West Ham are lining up another transfer with that money.
I completely agree.
So that'd be my guess. I don't have any inside knowledge on that at all. It's just a guess. So, and even still, I just worry about, Antonio, even if he's not going to get 90 minutes like every week now, surely. Even when he does starting games, he'll be getting 45, 60 minutes maybe. And then if there's a reoccurrence, I don't know. I could be wrong in this and I could be proven wrong. And he has scored goals in the past, of course, but it's just his injury record. And I think that will mean his minutes are managed, especially when fixtures are congested like they are. He's not going to play back-to-back 90 minutes in these games like a player like, again, I'll use Grealish as an example. He probably will. I know obviously they're not the same position or anything, but no, Antonio, until he proves his fitness, is a no from me.
Completely agree. Teddy Bear does have a second part to his question, but we're going to come back to that later because there's a far more interesting question asked by Manav. I think Manav, at the moment, he must be furloughed because he's definitely undergoing some sort of financial crisis to be asking this question.
Yeah,
but he's asked, best striker under 6 million for the blank game week.
Is there anyone?
Who?
Joe Linton, is he? Andy Carroll scored against Leicester.
Brewster
under 6 million. Brewster's been awful, hasn't he? Well, not as an FPL.
He's been consistent. You've got to give him that. He's been consistent, 1s and 2s all the way through.
He's on the 1s.
It's what FPL managers look for, right? Consistency, Wes.
Yeah, exactly. So bring him in, everyone. Especially if you're ranked near me, then definitely bring him in.
Yeah, consistently comes on at about 70 minutes.
Yeah. Let's have a look. I'm just going to bring up all forwards under 6 million.
Jeez.
Oh,
for the blank game week as well. Did he say?
Yeah.
Because when I like for the double would be, like I said earlier, Rodrigo for Leeds. He's doing well in the stats and passing the eye test. His minutes aren't great each week, but him again. But who has a game week? You know what? I'm not saying I like this as an asset, but it's real slim pickings, especially for the blank game week and at the price range. But McGoldrick, he's got 4 goals from open play, which is 3 more than Kevin De Bruyne this year.
Don't tell people that he's in my free hit team.
I've noticed that as you've mentioned McGoldrick, the viewers have dropped off. There seems to be a positive correlation there. Wes.
I mean, look at who I've got to pick from.
I know.
So it's either him or I can't say Joel. I can't say Joel Linton. They're all awful, aren't they? They all disgust me just looking at them.
Yeah. Just makes you ill when you.
With Podence still sidelined, would you say Fabio Silva, or it's too risky?
I don't know. Even when I've seen him play, he doesn't really ever look like scoring. His 1 goal this year was a penalty, wasn't it? He came off the bench against Burnley and scored a penalty. So I guess his minutes are looking a little better in recent weeks, but even still, there's like 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90, 22, 86. With Podence out, I don't know if they'll. He hasn't. He needs time. He will be a good player, I'm sure, but he needs time to settle in. So as an FPL asset, no. But what my advice would be for this guy on a free hit looking for an under 6 million striker would be to rejig some money elsewhere and get one for over 6 million, because there's the likes of if you just save yourself about 0.5 million, you can actually get a decent asset. The likes of Callum Wilson's 0.5 more, Watkins is 6.1. So yeah, try and save yourself a bit of money and get one of those boys in.
Smash
I completely agree. Cheers for that question as well, Manus. But you probably need to speak to your employer, mate, and ask him for a bit more money, and you should be sound, to be fair.
Potato Man, Matt, I've noticed, is asking in the chat that everyone's favourite cover question is, well, so-and-so cover so-and-so. I don't know. But he's asking the question to you, is Salah essential premium? Could we cover his points with other assets like Son and Grealish, perhaps?
It's very rare that you do get an essential player in FPL. I think obviously Salah in his first season at Liverpool, was it 2 or 3 years ago, when he scored 32 goals, 12 assists. He was essential then. He's not essential now, definitely not. And no player is, even for this run-in that Man City have got, because so many teams have been scoring well and so many players are scoring well. And likewise, when I had a choice between, say, who to keep out of Vardy and Kane, when I transferred Kane out a few weeks ago, and both have gone on to score quite well. So is Kane essential? No, because Vardy's a similar price and returning very similar. Is Salah essential? No, because Son and whoever else are performing really well as well for cheaper. So no, Salah's not essential. And I don't like the word cover it as in like when it's from the same team or anything like that, but can you go without Salah and still do well and go at the ranks? Absolutely. Over the last few weeks I've gone with loads of players who people are touting as essential, and I've just got loads of green arrows, so no.
Brilliant, thank you, and hopefully that helps you out in the chat there. Well, probably what we're going to say, boys, we're saying 1:15 we'll go to, because obviously, as I say, Wes, we'd love to keep you here all night, as would the chat, but everyone's got their other stuff that we get up to, especially with you with 2 wee ones. We're running riot. Doing circles round about you. I need
to find out when they're coming home.
So we'll probably go...
I need to head off in a few minutes, so if you can go on a bit longer than that so I can come back and say bye to Wes, that would be appreciated, guys. I know, Lama, you can chat shit for days anyway, so you should be fine, right?
You for that. No, I'll be fine.
Absolutely
but
fine,
as I say, it would be great to keep Wes here all night, and I know the chat and us here would love for that to happen, but we've obviously got our own stuff that we get up to as well. So we'll probably go for about another 10-15 minutes, I would say, max. There's still a rake of questions to go through in the chat, so we'll try and fire through as many as we can. If you are enjoying the streams, this is the type of stuff that we do get up to on a Thursday. We look at Gameweek 18, we try and take your mind away from some of the stresses that you're having with FPL, with a bit of laugh and a bit of banter, and help you out. And it's not really us, it's our guests that help you out. So if you are enjoying it, give the stream a little like, it's greatly appreciated. And if you haven't already subscribed to us, that would be much appreciated too. Become a VIP in that FPL lounge. And Wee Roy will give you a wee thumbs up the top of the screen there. So if you want to see Wee Roy giving you a thumbs up, then hit the subscribe button, it's greatly appreciated. Matthew, what else is happening in the chat?
We have got Tommy Mack in the chat, Heisenberg, who is saying, who is your captain this game week?
Who's my captain this game week?
Oh, does he want to reveal?
It's gonna be a boring one probably, but I've purposely not drafted too many free hit teams just because I want to see where we're at near the time with obviously postponements, etc. But it is that Man City fixture looks too good to ignore. I just think a team like Brighton will try and play against them and get picked off.
Yeah.
I might go a bit, if I can squeeze Sterling in, I might go for Sterling. But I might end up being... I don't really want to be boring and go De Bruyne. And not because it's a boring choice. I know it is hard not to, but I don't know. I don't know if Sterling... I need to think about it some more, but in a nutshell, it will definitely be Man City. It will definitely be a midfielder, so therefore it will be either De Bruyne or Sterling. I'll say De Bruyne because that's what will most likely end up happening, but yeah, De Bruyne or Sterling.
Thank you for that. Actually, we're doing another stream tomorrow, or I am. I don't know if anyone else is coming on. If you want to come on, feel free to. But I'm just going to do a bit of tinkering with a free hit team because I'm definitely hitting that free hit button. I think just on that point, before we nash back in, Matt, with the questions in the chat, just to remind the chat, Andy from Let's Talk FPL brought this up, and I think it's something that it's worth bearing in mind if you are not aware. Don't make the mistake I made a couple of seasons ago with the free hit chip, whereby I hit it right at the start of the game, like, you know, when I could hit it. Then I tinkered with my team for the full week. And then when I eventually decided on the free hit team that I wanted, I couldn't actually afford the players that I already had in my team originally. And that's what will happen to you, potentially, with prices fluctuating because of the type of game week that it is. So, by all means, have a tinker, but just don't hit anything. So don't confirm a minus 48, obviously, and don't confirm a free hit either. Just literally click off it and then go back in, and your team will still be there as it is. Just screenshot your kind of team that you're playing with. Don't actually go through with it. Or I'm telling you now, you'll get fucked by price rises.
And
just thought I would make folk aware, that's all. I'm a nice guy.
Especially with COVID as well, because if something happens, like we said at this, I think we've already said it, but like, if they change their mind and do a little, you know, if they pause the season for a couple of weeks, then you're going to lose your free hit chip. So don't activate it. If you can, you know, wait until a day before or something, and then we'll know a bit more information on that. Yeah.
No, definitely. Thank you for that. Sorry, Matt.
Well, I'll definitely be doing that, but you're all rivals, so I hope you all do hit it. So we got Rohan in the chat. Non-FPL question: which club does Wes support in the Premier League?
I don't support a Premier League team. I'm from Northampton, which is sort of Midlands, and so I used to be a season ticket holder as a kid and teenager and all that. So they're my team, Northampton Town, managed by Chris Wilder a few years ago, which is why I've selected Sheffield United on the Premier League side. But no Premier League team, which is possibly me and John Ellis were talking about this actually when we was prepping for the FPL Double Up pod. So go and find them and subscribe to us as well. But got a plug in there. We was discussing how we neither us having a strong allegiance to a Premier League team, and I've got friends who are big fans of whatever team, and they'll refuse to have teams from the rival team. I had a mate who's a big Chelsea fan, so back in the day when Kane and Ali both broke through and were both having really good seasons, refused to have them, and it really hurt him. So I luckily don't have that, and I do advise that if you are a massive fan of a team, try and put that aside for FPL.
Yeah, no, exactly. And Matt and I we can tell you for sure, Boona definitely likes to wear his Spurs goggles at times. We'll try and tell him, look, your team's doing shit, mate. Don't pick them, and he'll just stick by it, and then he'll moan about it for the rest of the week about how low his game week score is. And we've tried to tell him, but I think
you guys don't have to deal with him, but we've got his number and he's got our number, so he constantly bombards us. Can't believe I fucking did this.
So Anish is asking yourself, what's your thoughts on Saka for a free hit team?
Yeah, I like him, especially as he's obviously going to enable the rest of your squad to have some bigger hitters in there. He is a very, very good player. He was in my Game Week 1 team, like I said. It wasn't really the right time for him then. But now he's got Palace at home. He's on decent form, playing more regularly, I think. I haven't actually checked his minutes recently. But I like him. He's cheap. He's got a goal threat. He's got an assist threat. Definitely like Saka.
No, definitely. We were talking. He's been mentioned quite a bit actually in the Hangout chat.
Yeah.
In Discord over the past week. And I know, Matt, being an Arsenal supporter, you'd already spoken about him before last week happened. But he is definitely getting the minutes, and I think. Sorry. I don't know what happened there. I think for me, especially with a free hit team, then I think you're fine bringing in someone like that. To booster up your midfield. How are you going about if you do decide, Wes, that you're going to do a free hit, how do you go about it? I mean, like, for me, there might be 3 or 4 players that I'm definitely going to have, and a lot of people will probably have the same 3 or 4 players. See, out with that, I'm quite happy to just take 1 week, and they're not really punts as such because of who they're playing.
I know what you mean.
I'm kind of building my free hit team up like that just now.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to tweak your mindset, and it's something that I do actually struggle with on a free hit initially. It does take a bit of getting used to because we're so used to playing FPL, years on end, and every transfer you make is always for, well, especially how I play. You never make a 1 week transfer really. You're normally bringing in a player for a set of 6 fixtures. So, for example, again, I'll use that Bamford example. When I took Kane out for Bamford about 6 weeks ago, and that's because Leeds had a really good 6 fixtures. Their first fixture I brought them in for was actually Chelsea away, who were looking defensively sound at the time. And the reason I'm saying that is because obviously I brought him in for a tough fixture, but it was for a 6 week fixture spell, not just one. Whereas on a free hit, you've got to change that thinking. So you don't need to worry about. So someone like Saka and someone like Smith Rowe, I'm kind of thinking, and someone maybe like El Ghazi, I'm kind of thinking, maybe a couple of weeks down the line, could they lose their place? Potentially, it's a possibility. So maybe you don't want these players in your team longer term. But on a free hit, Saka's going to play this game surely because of how well he's played more recently. And same for Smith Rowe. So definitely on a 1 week. And it's also a time for you can kind of you're not tied into these players, so you can definitely take more kind of punts or have a bit more fun with it. I think on the podcast, me and John brought up Pogba. Yep. Now again, we're not saying Pogba's not going to have like a really. We're not predicting Pogba to have this amazing game week necessarily or whatever, but there's a chance that he could be a decent pick on a free hit. That's all we're kind of saying there.
Yeah, I'm the exact same. I mean, Matt, as I've said, is an Arsenal supporter. And even I was talking to Matt last night and I was like, mate, I might just bring in Lacazette for a 1 week punt. I'm never going to keep him long term, but for the sake of 1 week against Palace, might be a bit dodgy, but I'm quite happy making a risky move like that.
Yeah.
Can I give you guys a good player to possibly bring in on your free hit?
No, because we're not listening to you. Sorry, Matt.
Oh, he's back.
He's fucking back. Zaha is a good pick.
Right, explain yourself.
One second, before you explain yourself, that's because you're a pessimistic Arsenal fan who's just shitting himself.
No, I'm saying it because if you look at his history against us, people will stay away from him because they've not done very well the last couple of fixtures and we've looked solid. But you got Gabriel first coming back, so he's going to be a bit rusty. You got Zaha still looking good, and I think he's like the 5th highest midfielder score in the thingy, so he's up there without anyone really paying attention to him. So he's ticking over the points, and he either scores against us or gets assists with penalties against us in every fucking fixture. That's always a high-scoring game. So do not look past Zaha if you're building your free hit team. That's what I'm saying.
I vowed that I would never get him or Wilson in my team ever again. So
can I just add a bit of fuel to your argument? And in the last 6 games, Zaha has played the full 540 minutes, and he has 1 attacking return, 1 goal.
Oh, get him in.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to be in my free hit team. You say that, but I've got a mate that's a casual as fuck, and this will make you all sick. Yeah, he's in the top 1,000 in the world, and he's had Zaha in his team all season.
Mate, your defense has improved massively in the last 2 or 3 games. So you look a lot better drilled. I don't think he's a good pick anymore.
Yeah,
personally. What do you think about that, Wes?
Zaha, yeah, I don't know. I think because if you're a free hit, I'm actually not going to be as pessimistic as some of the other guys were about him because, especially the start of the season, he was doing okay. Well, he's got 8 goals, 3 assists. He's taking more penalties this year. He's been a bit more greedy. But like Boone has said, 6 games with only 1 attacking return. And when you're on a free hit, what is he? 7.4 million. And a free hit, you can pick obviously anyone in there who's got a game this week. So I don't think for me he'll be in my team because there's just better options out there, in my opinion, with a better fixture. And obviously Arsenal have improved a little bit in the last few. And just how just squeeze him in, who you're going to be leaving out. And that's not. I don't agree. I do kind of agree with the logic that he can get something against Arsenal, but just think there's better options out there.
No, I agree. When I was tinkering away last night, I was like, gee, I could be doing with 8 midfielders at this rate. But we'll get there. So we'll just take the last few questions then, Wes, and then we shall all go on our merry way. Potato Man's asking, What's your opinion on this? A wild card for game week 18 and a bench boost for game week 19. Is that not a viable option due to this COVID mess that we're in?
Yeah, it's a very viable option, and you'd probably want to be targeting the 4 teams who both play this week and have a double next week. So that's Man United, Man City, Burnley, and Villa. Again, assuming obviously the Burnley game goes ahead in the blank, might not, but assuming it does. So yeah, they're the teams where you can obviously have a decent team this week with 3 City, which is going to be. If I was on a wild card now, I'd definitely have 3 City. They play this week, they double next week. Their fixtures are good for the next 6.
Yep.
A couple of Man United. And you've got cheap players at Burnley who can obviously play in the bank in the blank 18 and then revert to your bench for the 19 double, and then long term just be sort of bench fodder. And then you can pick a couple of good single. You can pick the likes of Kane and Son, who both play in the blank as far as we know. And then in the double game week, they don't have a double, but they have Sheffield United away, which is kind of like probably want to be considering that like a double game week, such a good fixture.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's actually an option. It's a very good option. It's one I need to consider myself over the likes of a free hit. It definitely could work out. And then obviously, sorry, just to blab on a bit more.
That's all right.
Villa have obviously got good assets that you kind of have a sort of set and forget for the season. The likes of Martinez, you get a cheap defender in the likes of Konsa. Which again, then when you're looking to balance your squad in the future weeks, they can be the players for your bench, maybe El Ghazi, Grealish, those sort of players. Watkins, you can wildcard these guys in.
Yeah.
They play this week, they double next. So yeah, there's definitely ways of building a good squad now on a wildcard.
Whereas I didn't hear a word you said, to be honest, mate. I'm just mesmerised by your beard, to be honest. I know that the viewers can't really see it, but I can just about see the periphery off the beard. Do you know what I'm saying? So beard game strong, mate, is all I'm going to say.
You see my foot? Where you see me? Oh, there. You must have been able to see like my foot.
FPL Giant. I know Penguin's in the lounge with us now, but FPL Giant was giving it. No, everyone's ignoring my questions. We're not ignoring your questions, Giant. I'm just about to ask it now, mate. I had seen it, and I want to ask Wes's opinion on it, and then we'll speak to wee Penguin.
We've also got Teddy Bear in the waiting room as well, so we will bring them both on together. But yeah,
right, okay. But FPL Giant's basically saying, Wes, should I bring in another player for a -4 hit to field 10 players in the blank game week 18, or should I just play with the 9 that I've got, and not playing a chip this game week?
Yeah, so if I don't have that luxury, but yeah, if I had like 9 players playing this week, I'd be looking at taking a -4 or -8 even to get up to 11 playing players. And like I said a minute ago, I'd be targeting those teams who then have a double next week. So you're taking a -4 in this week for a player who, if you're going in with 9 players, before you take that -4, that slot for that 10th and 11th player are definitely going to score 0, 100%. So all that -4 player needs to do is, if they play, they get 2 points. It's only a -2 at worst. And then obviously there's the upside of them getting a goal, a couple of goals or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think there should be a massive caveat added to that, Wes, that they are players that play in Game Week 19, because that also then negates you having to make any future transfers, and it makes the transfer a little bit less risky, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
But I agree. I mean, generally, I think, what would you say? This question I'm asked quite a lot, Wes, and I've got my opinion on it, and I'm sure yours is relatively similar, but what would be the minimum players you would want to be to then go without the free hit? What would you say, minimum players?
Probably 7, 8.
Exactly. So then essentially, if the players you would be bringing in for hits aren't players that you would then be, that would then be useful to you in double game week 19, essentially those hits aren't necessarily required, right? If you've already covered the bases with the likes of KDB, Sterling, or Bruno, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. And also you've got, you can also roll, like you said, with like less players this week. But then if you did take a -4 for those players who, like you said, you are going to want in double game week 19, so they are good. So they're, maybe it's a Spurs player who's got then Sheffield United in week 19, or maybe it's, like I said, one of those 4 teams who has a double. Then it's a -4 now, but then you're saving yourself transfers in future weeks, and you're potentially getting more points on the board early doors as well.
Mm.
Definitely. I mean, that's the predicament I'm in at the moment. Whereas with if Spurs do not have a fixture in blank game week 18, with me having used my personal circumstance, with me having used my free hit earlier in the season, I'm currently in a position where with one free transfer, I know this is a move you don't like based on the comment you made earlier about doing a hokey cokey, getting rid of Salah or KDB and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Obviously, at the moment, I've got the fortune of having 2 free transfers, which I rarely ever have, but the plan before the Spurs news was Salah to KDB and then getting rid of one or both of Son and Kane to bring Salah back in and having a full playing double game week kind of side for game week 19 without making any hits. Now, if Spurs don't have a fixture, much like you've just said, I would therefore be without Martinez, Son and Kane. But because I've got 2 free transfers, I'd probably look to do like Son and Kane to 2 players that then would have a double in 19. So the likes of KDB. Having KDB would actually give me 3 City assets, so I can't go for anyone else up front from City. Not that I would want to anyway. The only other potential would be Martial, but that doesn't really instill me with too much excitement, just because it's Burnley. So I'm not sure, to be honest. Bit of a tricky situation. Here's hoping.
I like that, and I think. Yeah, no, in this situation, especially, it's definitely different in terms of the advice I gave earlier would be like more general for the season about sort of, flipping between, say, premiums. But right now, in your situation, if those Spurs players were to lose out, it definitely makes sense to make a short-term move to someone like KDB, and then you could bring in a decent double game week, a decent striker who has a game this week. You may be happy to keep for a couple of weeks, maybe Lacazette just for a couple of weeks, and then move Kane back in once their fixtures are re-announced, and they're going to have a load of doubles. So in that situation, you're taking out a player who's guaranteed to get 0 for a player with a much more upside, and then you can make those transfers back.
Yeah.
So no, in that situation, I'd definitely go for that plan, mate.
No,
yeah, I think I'd be more tempted to go KDB and Martial potentially, and then decide what I want to do, because that way I'm also not getting rid of Salah, so I don't need to worry about bringing him back in. So potentially, I mean, it's not the end of the world, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, could work to my benefit.
I do like that plan actually, but I also just want to have a little my say on Martial quickly. I've got him in my team, but since I brought him in, Cavani had a decent game, Cup and the league, I think, and he's kind of getting a bit more game time. And now he's had that enforced rest with that 3-match ban, which includes both Cup games. So he had the last league game he missed, and now the Cup game last night against City he missed, and he's going to miss one more Cup game. If Martial goes ahead and gets another 90 minutes in this Cup game, I'd be wary about bringing him in, because then Solskjaer might think, okay, Martial's played three 90 minutes in quick succession, plus before then Cavani's fresh. I'll start with Cavani. So yeah, just be careful there with Martial. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, obviously, because I've got him. I want him for the to be ready for the double. It doesn't matter too much with his free hit, but I definitely want him there for the double. But will he be? So yeah, it's just, I think, watch out for Martial's minutes in the Cup. Ideally, he gets a rest, or at least play sort of 60 minutes or less or something, and then you've got a kind of an indication that he's
he'll be all right. Sunshine in the chat was saying there, I'm hearing Aston Villa is closed and that the game will be postponed. You're right, Sunshine, with what you're hearing. So we don't really give out loads of advice, but with this type of stuff, with Blovid and all the rest of it, you really want to keep an eye on fixtures. And then as Wes was saying now there, just keep an eye on who's playing and how much they're playing, because that'll make your decisions hopefully a little bit easier. But I believe
Lama, we've got an intruder amongst us.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Penguin.
This guy loves penguins, by the way.
What's your
has someone joined the chat?
Yeah, we've got FPL Penguin.
How you doing, Heisenberg? How you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. My question is, I'm a Liverpool fan, and obviously had the misfortune of watching us drop points in the last 3 games to, mid-table / relegated. Yeah, bro, we'll finish above you. And my question is, I would love to have. I played my wild card going into blank game week 18, and I've also put in some good double game week players as well for the 19 game week as well. And I've got no Liverpool players at all. And I know we've got Burnley and Manchester United. So my question for you, if you could, I'd love your advice on it. Do you think I should still consider having Salah for the double game week against. But even with his poor form, and I think he's blanked in the last 3 games, do you think he could do something big in that double game week?
I'm not especially confident there. So Salah's a player I do have, but based on me wanting, I've got no City for the double, which is worrying me more. And it's not a case of, again, for my team, it's not a case of just wanting something that I haven't got, which sometimes can happen in FPL. But I do genuinely think that City are the better options for captaincy in that game week and just in general. So no, if I was in your position where you don't have Salah, I wouldn't be looking to bring him in necessarily. Especially if you can fill your team with other great options, the likes of if we look at the teams who've got a double game week, there's Bruno Fernandes in there that you've probably got, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I've got Bruno, Son, and KDB at the moment in my midfield.
Yeah, so you'd have to sacrifice one of those, I guess. So in that case, if I'd possibly, because I'm a big believer in double game weeks and a big believer that it doesn't always work out, and obviously you can always point out player X outscored a single game week player will inevitably outscore multiple double game week options this week, of course. But playing the odds, thinking about it like that, I do always favour a double game week. So if it was me, I would. But then again, the price difference from Son to Salah makes it difficult because you probably have to sacrifice elsewhere. But if you can make a good sacrifice elsewhere, and you can do Son to Salah, I'd possibly look at that, just because, like I said, I am a big believer in the double game week. And, all those people who then end up captaining Salah could really hurt you as well. Not that I like to play like that at all in terms of looking at ownership and stuff. But yeah, so to answer your question directly, I wouldn't be removing KDB or Bruno for him. It looks like, judging it generally, it's probably going to have to be Son who makes way. But again, I wouldn't tear up your team to do that with minus hits or taking out another good asset, because Son has Sheffield United away. So if there's no easy way of getting Son to Salah and without really affecting your team and too many minus hits and all that sort of jazz, I'd just forego Salah in that scenario and hope for the best, because their double is like you said, it's Man United at home and was it Burnley, did you say? I can't remember the fixtures now. Yeah. So again, are Burnley going to get pumped? They sometimes do, don't they, against bigger teams? Liverpool are a strange one at the minute. Obviously, you're a Liverpool fan, you probably watched them. Well, I have watched all the games, but they pumped Palace 7-0, didn't they? And then obviously they got the 1-0 loss at Southampton recently. There was a draw in between there as well. Was it West Brom?
Newcastle and West Brom.
Yeah. So it's really weird because we're kind of used to having Liverpool for the last 2.5 or 2.5 years, something like that, of just being unbelievable. But they're definitely not themselves, I'd say, over the course of this season. Like when they, obviously it's a long time ago now, but losing 7-2 against Villa, they're not as good as they were. I'm sure as a Liverpool fan you agree that it's obviously hard to maintain how good they were. But yeah, and Salah in general, like you said, I think, is it 3 in a row he's blanked now?
Yeah. I think it's 3
in a row.
2 anyway. I think this could potentially be his third.
I think he's done 3.
No, he's done 3. Unless you count his clean sheet point against Newcastle.
Yeah, that's
he's done 3.
For a 12.4 million midfielder. Yeah, so 3 blanks in a row against some very average opposition in there. West Brom, Liverpool. I don't know if I'm right in saying this because they did obviously batter Palace. It does seem like every time I watch them, and I've had Captain Salah a lot in the sort of middle part of this season so far. I've kind of watched it and I'm just thinking they don't look like scoring against these sort of low block defences, 10 men behind the ball. I don't know if you'd agree with that as a Liverpool fan, but especially I remember thinking, I know against Newcastle they did have a shitload of chances and they definitely, Darlow made a good save from Salah. Salah also put one just a really good chance, but he put it wide. Firmino kind of missed a header with an open goal, didn't he? So it could have been different, but Southampton, what was it, 1 shot on target, a trickler from Mane.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Salah's one of those where you can't write him off in any fixture, especially in a double. And I guess you can't really moan if he does get points in the double. But yeah, in your scenario, would I rip up my team to get him in? No. Son doesn't have a double, but he has Sheffield United. Son is on better form with his goal and assist, I guess, against Lee.
Is he there?
Hello.
Gonna cut off there.
He's not enough. Yeah, his video cut off as well. Can't see his sexy beard anymore.
I kind of cut off a little bit there. If Wes comes back, that's great. But we were looking to wind down anyway at past.
We've got some interesting news
Is
surfacing
where
on
a
the
niche?
internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Reading
niche,
it
but
out.
also something else regarding Burnley. So there's some Burnley news. Apparently, there's a couple cases of COVID amongst the Burnley crop, and now the same we're hearing amongst the Brighton team. Not by the sound of things on the same level as Aston Villa, but it all just reaffirms the fact that the whole importance of being patient, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, that's what I was just about to say, mate. It might look like Wes has lost connection there since he's typed it in the chat, which is a shame because I wanted to give Wes the next 20-30 seconds to just plug himself away. He'd mentioned the Double Up podcast before. First of all, actually, I'll double check. Are you there, Wes?
I'm just moving him to the waiting room, and then I'll bring him back, see if that helps.
All right, okay, we'll give it 2 seconds then.
I just want to say thanks to Wes, if you can hear me, just say thanks for the advice as well.
That's
Appreciate it.
Can you hear us now, Wes?
Ah, yes.
Yes, he is there. So, Wes, I was wanting...
I'm back.
We were kind of wrapping things up anyway, to be honest. And I wanted to just give you the next kind of 20-30 seconds to plug yourself away. So where can people find you, what you're getting up to, and all that type of stuff. So really just over to yourself, mate. Obviously want to say thank you very much for joining us this evening, first and foremost. But yeah, if you want to let the audience know where to find you and what you're getting up to, that would be smashing, Tar.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks. So yeah, first of all, I want to say thanks for having me on. It's been a lot of fun. It's good to do some light-hearted FPL stuff, and yeah, really enjoyed it. A lot of fun. In terms of where you can find me, it's obviously on Twitter, FPL_Heisenberg. I've got a podcast out with John Nellis, like I've already banged on about, which you can find on Twitter and podcast places at FPL Double Up, all one word. Or just search it on podcasts like with spaces as well. What else have I got to plug? I think that'll do, really. I don't know. I've got shitloads more to plug, but I've got Patreon. If you want to sign up to Patreon, I've got
what beard oil do you use,
Hub affiliation. Say it again, mate.
What beard oil do you use?
Beard oil.
Might as well plug that as well.
Yeah, I think maybe I should get a sponsorship from some sort of beard oil thing. But I definitely want I thought people with a lot of followers on Twitter and stuff could get free clothes and stuff. I could definitely do with some of that. If anyone out there wants to give me some free stuff, then DM me on Twitter. So yeah, I definitely need to abuse my Twitter following in terms of getting free stuff.
Yeah,
and yeah, that's it really. Yeah, find me on Twitter and yeah, listen to the pod really, which we just launched. We're trying to build that. That's going well. People are liking it, and the numbers are going up. So yeah, can't complain there.
No,
one thing I'd like to highlight, Heisenberg, is one section, a thread we have in our Discord is called the content creations. And that is literally just plug yourself in there all the time. Every time you have a new video, drop the link in there and let the people of our Discord know.
So I've literally downloaded Discord. I didn't know what Discord was. I've downloaded Discord to do this. Yeah. So is that part of? I'll ask Boone off air how to do that. That's handy.
We'll get you all set up on that, and I think John is still in the Discord as well. So yeah, he knows. I think as well.
John knows John's a bit more tech savvy than me. He does the editing of the pod, and I just turn up and chat shit.
Where to plug his stuff in that. But no, as I said, on behalf of us at that FPL Lounge, it's been a pleasure having you on the show with us this evening, so thank you very much for that. Boona, do you want to you can let Wes know, and also the rest of the folk know what's happening over the rest of the week. And then Matt, you can say cheerio if you want.
Aye.
What's happening over the rest of the week? Tomorrow's Friday, right?
So tomorrow, tomorrow is Friday. I'll do a free hit Friday. Matt will come back with the papers on Sunday. Yeah.
Lamy, you sound so much like Boona right now.
No, what guests I was meaning have we got coming up over the next few weeks, just so the chat know?
I'm just bringing up the tweet in which I shared it. But next Thursday, we've got FPL Raptor joining us. He'll be giving us a masterclass from a psychological perspective when it comes to FPL, and that's his bag. That's what he's really good at doing. And I do advise you, if you're new to the channel and have come through to us from Heisenberg's following, Twitter, wherever it might be, please do hit that subscribe button and also turn on notifications, because we do stream quite often, 2 to 3 times a week usually, Thursday being our kind of meet the manager and really understanding their style of play kind of podcast, and then Sunday's usually a Sunday supplement like Matt will come on to discuss with you, but basically going over paper talk over the weekend and how the weekend's gone from us, all from a footballing and an FPL perspective. But yes, FPL Wraps are next Thursday, that's 14th of January. The Thursday after that, on the 21st, we've got Rambo FYI, who has also hosted the Premier League show, joining us, which should be brilliant. And to end the month on Thursday, the 28th of January, we've got somewhat of a celebrity and Redditor from YouTube joining us. So it should be very interesting. Some really cool guests lined up.
Cool.
But yeah, before Matt wraps up, I just want to say as well, thank you to Heisenberg for joining us, and also Adam P, who introduced us properly, who is a good friend of Wes's. So really appreciate that, Adam.
Legend.
Excellent.
Oh, and also, Adam's going to be getting Peter Crouch on for us soon, isn't he, Wes?
Yeah, well, I'm on my podcast first. Yeah.
But no, thank you.
Then yours.
That's perfect. Thank you very much, Wes. I'll wrap the stream up and stuff, so I'll go on mute, but I'll speak to you just briefly once it's done. I'll be like a minute just to say thanks to you, pal.
Alright, well, am I hanging up now or not?
No, stay on, it's fine. Matt will
Okay.
wrap everything up, and then we'll just chat to you in a wee sec.
Well, pretty much what all these guys said, because they do it every bloody stream. They wrap it up and go, Matt, you end it. So it's like copy and paste what they just said. Peace out, people. See you later.
Good night,
care,
folks.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
I wish I found some better sounds no one ever heard. I wish I had a better voice to sing some better words. I wish I found some chords in an